are in the story we are in. And my only hope is that no one completely hates it. But I do think, to finish it out in a fun way, that Nathan's character needs to have more weight that we understand. And Nathan, the trouble is, if I make it up, then it's no good.
I can make it up. That's not a problem. The problem is I didn't see any opening.
Right.
That's I tried, early on trying to figure out what was the relationship between all of us, but it didn't really help because it's too complicated.
Right.
I tried when, I tried to save and went against Ola character, and it worked well, but it was just for one session.
Right. So the question is, do you think that you could knowing that I'm sympathetic to it, but that you can read what I wrote. I will put up the link as well, saying I just can't see how to make this cool character fit in here, right? This character is too good. It's almost too good by himself. You know what I mean? So how am I possibly going to, drag this excellent character from his situation into this? So if there is some way for you to say to us, this is what I'm here for, this is what I want. And I don't mean just Hans, I mean you.
Yeah. The character was here to save his friend.
Right.
Which I think is done.
Effectively, yes. Yeah.
Kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Considering how beaten he was.
Well, he does seem very concerned with status in the Covenant.
Yes. His concern, basically status, but status and justice. So what he wants is, he wants to make sure that everything is as it should be, according to himself.
That's, I think, what you should express with 2 more aspirations.
Yes, I can.
If you do that, and then you come in with being very forceful and say, okay, you clowns have fucked up everything all night long. Now it is time, to do this, or however you want to play it.
I mean, if I can start to go against the other characters and against the experiment, which I didn't dare doing before, just, because everybody was so involved in it, that's
right.
I can come up with something, yes.
Well, I'm not necessarily being antagonistic, but if you that is up to you, but something about how your character wants to manage it or influence its purpose or something like that.
The problem I see here is I don't see how my character can say anything about the scientific part of what he's done.
No, but you can get a sense of whether it's okay. I don't mean to argue with you. I am more interested in finding a way for Hans to be involved, and so I'm kind of asking you to decide. Yeah. But the idea of, if I start making suggestions, then I'm doing what I said I didn't want to do, which is to make it up for you, right? And I don't want to do that. I see some solutions. I don't think you are helpless. I think you can do it.
Do you want my impressions?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Very much.
Yeah, because I'm not saying how I'm reading the situation is a bit like, well, I didn't get it that you are maybe that into the covenant status. So maybe you could be for me, it seems like you'd be rather questioning if it's important anymore.
Yeah, that's true, especially because it looks like Ansa and Nora are going to come out of this with incredible status. Right? If they make something work here, who knows? You could create basically a vampire demigod, transcend vampirism and become this, sun god kind of person, right? Things are getting really mystical and really creepy scientific around here. You might open, he might become a Lovecraftian abomination of a god or something like that, with all this crap going on. But whatever it is, I mean, do you really want Ansa to be the high priestess of the new religion, or the acknowledged leader of the covenant from this time forward? Do you want Nora to be the mistress of this powerful monster, which means she will be able to tell any vampire what to do from now on anytime she wants? I
As
mean,
a
these are
mother,
two very, very powerful vampires you are looking at here. They are about to be.
yeah. But
That's
considering
kind of dangerous, or at the
it
very
is, but
least, yeah,
it's also the goal of the coven.
yeah.
So why should he go against that? He's part of
Well,
the covenant.
yes, but the goal of the covenant to me is a bunch of crazy people who tolerate each other, right? So it's not really like they have a constitution and a mission statement, right?
I don't know.
So,
I have seen it as a mission,
mhm,
but because again, my character is doing what is right. So if the covenant says that it's a mission, it is a mission.
right. Well,
Which
again, though,
just
I think that I want to let you think about this for a day
yeah,
or
I will,
two
yeah.
and decide. I am just saying that since your character is high status and has opinions about status, we have two extreme threats to status in front of you. Whether that's
Yeah.
bad or good. Maybe you think that what they're doing is good, who knows? So it's a good question. Maybe Hans wants to find out, what is this for?
Yeah.
All Ansa cares about is doing it. And Nora is like it says right there on Nora's sheet, she is like a child, right? She will be obedient, or she will act out and do tantrums and immature things. I mean, do you really want her to have the highest status, right? So it's so I guess that's what I'm saying. Those are some things that come to my mind. I don't want to say anything else. The rest is up to you.
Yeah.
But I think that you're right, that Odin's right. We should have a little bit more personal connection and relationship among us.
So we at least know how we should interact with our the other characters in the group, or play off each other.
We have seen. Go ahead.
Because in an old campaign, I noticed that when I made a character that has some kind of tie or something like some interest or like occupations that kind of ties or I can play off with other characters, it became much more fun than a character I had previously,
Right.
which didn't really do anything with the others.
I have grown to like all of your vampires. Actually, I have a very clear personal image of what they look like physically in my head, and I can pick things that each of you has done that make an image of the character very fun for me to imagine. And the fact, for example, that Ansa keeps going like deeper and deeper into the wild, consequences of everything, right? Oh, this happened? Great. That's crazy too? Fantastic. Put it in the experiment. Let's keep going, right? All of those things. It's fun to imagine this creepy lady, right, doing these things. So I think that I would like to take that advice, that if you want, before the next session, for at least two of the other characters, come up with a strong sense of how they feel, or how your character feels about them, or wants from them, or something. I think that would be very helpful. Does that seem okay? Would people be willing to do that?
Yeah. I think I've come with a couple of ideas that I will not share right now.
I assume we will see them dramatically in play as soon as you get the
Yeah,
chance.
but it might be that there might be something that I will share with some of you that has to do with my. But I will leave this right now
Okay.
because I have something cooking, but I don't know what.
Well, now that I am nervous, so I think that makes a lot of sense, and I am also really struggling with how to play this I mean, the intersection of the breaking points and the conditions and some of the other rules are very tricky. I kind of wish it was easier to lose humanity, right? Because you are rolling like 7 dice, right? I mean, that's hard to fail. Sorry, Odin, what were you going to say?
There was another thing, but I also think, also when you said, it's hard to fail, but I also think, but when you fail, you are starting to
Right.
accelerating, go down. It's
I agree that there is something of a spiral at work there, but you have to get going. You have to it actually has to go down. It's hard to get it
but
started.
Eventually you will lose, and then it will start to go down.
Yeah. Hey, Helma. Helma is joining us to say hello. Also,
Helma.
So I think, Odin, the thing to do if you want to see the humanity rules in play, when someone wants this to happen, they need to start doing anti-humanity things a lot. Right? I mean, they need to do it a lot. So sooner or later, they will finally fail and go down a point. Because it seems like humanity 4 or 5 is a lot more fun to play. You are more of a monster. And you still care a little bit. Right? So it's 1 or 2, you are just awful. You are just horrible psychopath at 1 or 2. But at 4 or 5, that's where you are really the monster struggling to remember what it's like to be a person. Right?
Yeah. I also had a character concept who is kind of a bit more monstrous and kind of is kind of hilarious, who are almost in this semi-francing state, but is still somewhat conscious and
right.
Slightly rolls in it.
It seems to me that maybe in retrospect, it might have been more fun to start at humanity 5 instead of 7.
Because that was one of the reasons I picked Order of the Cruel, is because if you're a member of the Order of the Crown, you kind of start to lose your humanity a bit more, because learning the Croak, the magic, is a breaking point.
Right.
For example.
Well, Order of Dracul for me, I'm glad you chose it. I would not have chosen it myself, but when the group ultimately decided upon it, I have actually kind of enjoyed the kind of creepy mad scientist stuff more than I thought I would. And so right now I like it a lot. So I have to, so I'm glad we chose that one. But I do think that the humanity rules are so complicated and so intense, but we don't really get started, right? We don't really get to see their consequences. We just stay at humanity 7.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think my character should have humanity 7 like to start with, to be honest, but yeah. Whatever.
You're not worthy that kind of humanity.
Right. So I think that might be part of my question too, is, well, okay, so we have those humanity rules, and then we have these other behavioral rules. I have complained before, it's really hard to have all of those rules operating at once. This one pushes this way and the other rule pushes that way, and yes.
Maybe for example, maybe having a hierarchy of which rule overrides the others. for example, so you can like just pick
Right,
one.
exactly. I mean, if you have these conditions, then well, okay, I agree. On the other hand, I think sometimes that I know the authors and I know the games that they pulled each of these rule sets from, and really they weren't designed to work together. They kind of threw them in from other games, and so we have this big mix of mechanics all in one spot. Um, so it's tricky to. I almost want to dissect the game apart and say, okay, play with these rules if you want to do it this way, play with those rules if you want to do it that way. They have some customization, text in the book.
Yeah.
But anyway, so those are my thoughts. Does anyone else want to ask me to do anything differently? Should I? I mean, what should I do? I am asking for the final sessions that for the next sessions that we play, if anything.
I cannot come up with anything that you need to change that I think of.
I want to know if I should bring in more of the past into the story, or is that just going to be more content when we should be focusing on events and action? So, should I bring in more of the past, more knowledge, more backstory, more personality, for example, to Solveig, who's still kind of this big blank spot, right? Should I bring in more of this kind of personal stuff, or should I uh, just say screw it and let's just do the crazy experiment and see what happens?
Uh, I don't have any. I think that I mean bringing in the past would like be this happened in the past. That would be basically saying this has happened before. It's much more interesting to I'm very much curious about Justine and is that basically the only character that is
And he
your
is
will
walking and talking, and he is,
uh,
and he is blood bonded. And I agree. I mean, I think that I should play these characters. If I come up with important things from the past, I will express them through the active characters, and he is the obvious example. That's something I can do. Um, so maybe we can focus on that stuff when we play next time. With your efforts to make the characters more connected to one another, and my efforts to bring my NPCs into a more active, understandable set of goals and actions. That
remind me
I
where do
actually
you
did have Austin try to socially dominate you as soon as he was, awake and aware, but you guys stopped him. So, which is fine. But that doesn't mean he still doesn't have opinions. So I can do something with that.